first thing I want to bring your attention to is this comparison property of inequalities. Right, so this is just something that should be fairly straightforward. Right, so basically it says that if you add two things together, whatever that equals is bigger than the two things. Right, so if I add A or B plus C together and get A has to be bigger than B and C. Right, hopefully that is just intuitively making sense. Right, so the other thing about that, anybody remember what the relationship was between the exterior angle 1 and the two interior angles 2 and 3? So I add 2 and 3 and I can get 1, right? So I can use that comparison property of inequalities to say that if I have an exterior angle, right, the measure of angle 1 is going to be what? Greater than or less than angle 2? Greater than, right? Because 2 and 3 added together gives me 1. So I can say the measures of angle 1 is greater than both 2 and 3. Okay. So once we know like side lengths or angle measures, we can compare sides of a triangle, right? So if two sides of a triangle, as long as they're not congruent, then the larger angle is going to be opposite the larger side. Right? So if I look at and say that xz, right, is greater than or longer than xy, right, I can make a comparison about the angles that they're across from, right? So the comparison about z and y. Guys, focus. So if xz, so if the red one is bigger than the blue one, then angle y is greater than angle z, right? They're measures. So we're always comparing things opposite the side or the angle. Right? So it works backwards too, in that if angle A is greater than angle B, then BC, which is opposite of A, right, is greater than AC. Right? So we're comparing things that are opposite. So we're always, when we're doing this, looking at the opposite sides. Okay? Last thing, before we do some examples. We can figure out, based on side lengths that are given, if they could make a triangle or not. Right? So the sum of any two sides has to be greater than the length of the third side. Right? So if this is going to be a triangle, I have to take xy plus yz. Now it'd have to be greater than that third side. Right? I have to do all three combinations. So yz plus xz has to be greater than xy. And xz plus xy has to be greater than yz. A couple examples. Right? So if I look at this triangle ABC, it wants to know which side is the longest. They give me BA is 4 and AC is 5. And they give me that exterior angle is 85. Right? So I need to know some more angle measures before I can decide what side is the longest. So can I figure out what that angle is? How? Subtract it from 180, right? I know that and the 85 is going to be supplementary. So if I subtract that from 180, right, I get 95. What about B and C? Can I figure out what their exact measures are? How? Huh? Is there any way to find two angle measures of just a random triangle if I only know one? No, right? I can't do that because if it was isosceles, I could, right? But I don't have an isosceles triangle. So, but what do I know? I know something about those because they are the interior angles to the exterior angle 85. So how do they compare to the measure of 85? So B and C how are they going to compare to 85? No. So B and C are going to add to 85, right? Everybody see that part? So that means their measures both have to be less than what? 85. Less than 85, right? So I know that both of those are less than 85, right? I just need to keep that in mind. It doesn't matter what they are. I don't care what they are. So now I need to look at which side is the longest. So I look for where's my biggest angle at? At A, right? I go, which side is opposite of A? So BC is opposite of A. So that's going to be the longest side. Because you can't assume things. So if I want to look at what angle is the smallest, I need to look for where's the smallest side. So where do I have the smallest side? So in this triangle, what's the smallest side? Say it a little louder, Abby. Yeah. BA, right? I know that's the smallest side. So I look at what angle is opposite of BA. What angle is opposite of side BA? BC. No, angle. Angle C, right? Angle C is opposite. So angle C is the smallest. Okay. So, any questions on that? No. We can talk more. Okay. So, can a triangle have lengths 4, 5, and 10? So what you need to do here is check, is 10 plus 5 greater than 4? Yeah. Right? Is 10 plus 4 greater than 5? Is 4 plus 5 greater than 10? No. Right? So this is not a triangle. Okay? So it cannot make a triangle. It's just 3 lines that don't touch all together. Don't. Okay? So, this next one. Rank the angles from smallest to largest. So if you want to, bring it back together, please. If you want to rank the angles from smallest to largest, I need to look for what is my smallest side here. The 2.7 side, right? What angle's opposite 2.7? M, right? So angle M is the smallest. What's the next biggest size?
4.3.
4.3. Right? L is opposite that. And then K has to be next. Right? Because it's opposite the largest side. Okay, we're gonna add one example to this because there's something in your homework that I didn't put in the notes. So, question is, what are possible side lengths to make a triangle if 2 are say 5 and 7. Okay. So it's wanting to know what is the possible side lengths for the third side, right, in order to make a triangle that would work. So what I've got to think about is I'm going to represent, so I have my 3 side lengths, right? I have 5, I have 7. Do I know the third one? No. So I'm going to call that one x, all right? And so I'm going to say, I know that if I take 5 plus x, that's going to have to be greater than what? 7. Okay. If I take 7 plus x, that has to be greater than 5. And 5 plus 7 has to be greater than x. So when I look at this, I just solved these. So if 5 plus 7 is greater than 7, x has to be greater than 2. Right? Subtracted 5 from both sides. Save that one. If I solve this second one, subtract 7 from both sides, x has to be greater than? What's 5 minus 7? Negative 2. Does it make sense if we have a side length that's negative? No. So this one doesn't matter. I'm just going to kind of cross that out. So anytime you get a negative one, that's the one that doesn't matter because you can't have negative side length. So too, 5 plus 7 has to be greater than x, right? So what happens if I want to write this as x has to be something than 12. So if I flip that around, what happens to my inequality? It also flips around, so x is less than 12. So x has to be greater than 2 and less than 12.